Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be discussing other strategies that you could possibly be putting into your exam papers, where they are asking you to come up with a strategy to alleviate an issue and a problem. And generally, that is in business. You are always solving problems. So, the other strategies that you could possibly use that will be correct if you use them is the first one is to revise your vision and mission. So, what is a vision and mission? It is where the company wants to be, who it's your why. It really is why are you doing what you're doing? So, if you have a look at Mr. Price, in the 90s, Mr. Price's vision or slogan was Mr. Price, factory fresh, nothing added. In 2005, it said Mr. Price every day. And in 2010, it said, our dream is to become a top performing international retailer. Our purpose to add value to our customers' lives and worth to our partners' lives. So that was their vision before. And you can see that there's this ongoing revisiting the vision and mission as the company changes, as trends come in, as new management comes in. You're going to have new ways of thinking. So currently, Mr. Price's vision and mission is to be a top performing omni-channel retailer. What is their purpose? To add value to our customers' lives and worth to our partners' lives while caring for the communities and environments in which we operate. So their purpose, they've added on to that purpose, all about CSR, corporate social responsibility, and taking responsibility for their communities. So that you could possibly do that is relook at your vision and mission. And I must say, when I go in and I consult for some companies, the first thing that I do is I look at their vision and their mission. And then I say to them, are you living true to these words? And if they say, well, not really, we're not really quality, then that I can then formulate strategies from their vision to say, okay, are we going to change the vision, or should we now look at strategies within the company that we are living up to our vision? The second thing or vision that you're going to be looking at is allocating your resources differently. So strategically looking at how do we utilize different resources. And I just had a look at Woolworths. Woolworths has done this with their diversification strategy of the acquisition of Absolute Pets in 2024. That is part of Woolworths. So they've got an Absolute Pets premium range for people that want the best for their animals. So that is how Woolworths has allocated resources differently. They have gone into a completely different market. The next elements, and you must know this. I have seen 10 mark questions, 15, 15 marks that people are going to be marking you in a section C for this word, and that is TQM, Total Quality Management. What is it? It's about enhancing all your standards within your company. It's at every single level you are asking yourself, are we adapting a quality strategy within each of these departments, within each of these layers or chain that we are operating in? So it really is about continuous improvements, and it involves all employees in the quality enhancement process. So what are you going to be looking at? You're going to be looking at rigorous quality programs. You're going to look at best practices. What are the best practices that we can do within fashion, within retail? And you've got to go right back to your supplier. So if you're buying from China, are they operating in best practice? Because if something comes out that there is child labor or that it is really not very good working conditions, and that comes out to you, you are going to be labeled. And it will definitely be a PR problem. I remember years ago that happened with Nike, with the sweatshops. So you've really got to make sure that there is TQM at every single process. So, how do you go about doing that? Well, you could do systematic quality checks, inspections, and sampling. So you take something off the line, you wear it, you see, you wash it. I mean, from Mr. Price, if you're going to be washing a red top, hopefully nothing, the dye doesn't come out and stain everything else. So you would do this in the factory. There will be adherence to international standards. You will have standard operating procedures, SOPs, to make sure that you are adhering to all these standards. And of course, always improving your supply chain efficiency. So, here are some ways that you could possibly do that, and that is quality control in production, implementing rigorous quality control, that you ensure that each garment meets high standards before it reaches the customer, thorough inspections of materials, monitoring production lines for consistency, and conducting regular audits. These are words that you need to use in your answers, guys. Garments, audits, inspections. Continuous improvement to customer service is another TQM element. So you're going to ensure that you are delivering a superior shopping experience. You're going to gather feedback from your clients or your customers through surveys, reviews, making sure that you are always watching social media. If there is a bad review, you respond and react immediately. You're going to refine processes, train your staff. As someone walks in, your staff comes up and says, "Hi, can I help you? What are you looking for? Let me be of service to you." So you make sure that customer service is at the top end and enhance all your services. Cost optimization is another quality control method, and you're going to minimize costs and waste. You're going to have strategies in place for that. You are also going to establish clear quality, a streamline of logistics, and reduce lead times so that things get to you quicker. There is something that's called, it's a technology that they use, and that's called, and would be very good current affair for you, is a RFID tracking or blockchain. Basically, this is a system, a computerized system that retailers would use to ensure that they've got stock, that they've got stock counts, that they know what's going out, they know what's coming in, and it literally tracks everything from supply to your customer. So use those words, RFID tracking or blockchain. Right, another strategy that you're going to be looking at is benchmarking. Have a look at what your competitors are doing. And when we were in Kimberly Clark, we used to call it swiping, where we steal with integrity and pride. I know. We would have a look at what our competitors were doing all the time. And we would then say, what is the best practice? What are they doing that works? Let us adopt that and make it our own. So that is benchmarking according to industry best practices. Ratios, remember in your balance scorecard, you're going to be using your ratios. You can bring this in as another strategy. You're going to make sure that you are keeping up to date with your current ratio, which is your current assets to your current liabilities. Remember, your assets need to be double than what you owe. What you own must be more than what you owe. Okay, so that you've got to make sure that your current capital ratio and your current ratios are according to industry standard. And then you're going to look at solvency ratios, where that is equity to debt, total assets, total what you own to total what you owe. And that needs to be a 2-to-1. Right. The next strategy that you're going to be putting into place is called a 360-degree performance appraisal. This is a good one to have. I love this. So when I worked for Bayer, they did a 360, which was the first time I'd ever been privy to this, because in other companies, I would just be called in and my manager would appraise me and say, oh, by the way, you didn't do that too well. You did that okay, according to the objectives that we set in the beginning of the year. And it was literally my manager evaluating me, which works if your manager likes you, doesn't work if your manager doesn't really like you. So you can see the discrepancy in that. So the 360-degree performance appraisal is where you give a performance appraisal to everybody. Well, HR will give it out. You don't give it out. HR will give it out to everybody that you work with. So they give it to your colleagues. They'll give it to suppliers. They could possibly give it to teams that you've been involved in. And we call these teams cross-functional teams. So a lot of the times I would be working with a financial, someone from finance, someone from production, someone from the manufacturing plant. They would all get a performance appraisal about me. They would rate me, and it's all anonymous, so they can be honest. So it works if you're working well with your team. It's not going to work so well if you're not working well with the people. And then included in that is your boss's assessment. So what do? You actually getting a holistic feedback from everybody. So what I loved about that is that it just brings out any kind of bias that could happen if you and your boss are not getting along. And it's really good because people are going to be honest. It's anonymous. So if you're being poopy, you're going to know about being poopy, and you would then address that. And they would do a PIP, performance plan, and you would then say, this is what I'm going to be working on. 360-degree feedback performance appraisal is a good strategy to implement. Right. You could do skills development. So product knowledge training in fashion, customer service excellence, visual merchandising techniques. You could be training people about how do you merchandise. It's got to look amazing. So when you've got your swimming costumes, put the flip-flops there, put the sunglasses, put a hat, put the iPods, earpods next to all of that. Put the towels. So you're going to be cross merchandising with your towels and your costumes. So visual merchandising techniques, very important. Sales and upselling techniques. Can you imagine if you go in and you're buying a pair of flip-flops and then the salesperson says, oh my goodness, I love those flip-flops. Have you seen the shorts that go with that? I just want to show you. Have a look. The chances of you maybe buying that could be pretty high. So you're teaching your sales team to upsell, to sell more. When I waitressed, we always had to upsell. I would always offer a side salad with a T-bone. I would always offer the desserts. Would you like a dessert? Even if a dessert to share, maybe, so that I upsell because it was all commission based. Fashion trend analysis, another skills development. Your team needs to know what's on trend. Your team needs to know what's happening in fashion, and that's social media. So you could possibly, train people to say, please be on the site. Please have a look during lunchtime. If you've got ideas about certain trends or whatever the case is, just feed this back to us. And then technology and digital skills, very important. That's with your point of sale systems. It could be touch screens that you're bringing into a Mr. Price, possibly, that you would then have to be educated and trained on that. And then, of course, teamwork. Teamwork in any company is a strategy where you are trying to bring synergies with people. 1 + 1 = 3. So you would then do a teamwork session. You could possibly do wellness days. You could say, you know what? I want you to go to head office and work with marketing for a day, so that you are expanding people's knowledge and bringing about this cohesion within your team. Before you even start the day, before you open up those doors, the manager gives everyone a muffin and a coffee and says, you know what? Let's just gather together as a team. What are our objectives for today? How are we going to do this? come on guys, we can do this. So you do a bit of a rah, 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 and you have this cohesive team within Mr. Price. Grade 11s, grade 12s, please go to this link over here. It's on Mr. Price. If you Google mrpricegroup.com, it comes up with their annual report. It is such a cool report. It's got so much information for you from a current affairs point of view. It is going to help you so much. I really suggest printing it out between a group of you and kind of sharing that along so that you can always reflect and refer back to a current Mr. Price example. On that note, I wish you adieu. Have the best day ever, and I will see you in the next recording.
There's no need to complicate things. Let's stick to the basics.